bought toys for that. Again, I was just calculating a few minutes ago. It works to about 15.98 million kilograms. That is 15,900 tons. It is 1,590 trucks of e-waste. This is the language that we need to communicate. Now, I went back to get to know how much e-waste that is being received at WEEE Center. We have capacity of 1,000. You have the capacity of 1,000 per day. And you are only, and that would mean 30 tons per month, but you're only receiving 10 tons. Now compare the number of trucks I've talked about, multiply by 7 years, because I'm calling it 7 years just because like we delay in regulations. We created regulations on e-waste and EPR management, extended producer regulations. 7 years ago, 2016, we have implemented it, or we are now talking of it being ready years later, and we still have a challenge because it needs to be either under MCA or wherever. We are still talking about that. So I'm talking this to make a presentation that it's actually a crisis that we are talking about, because we have talked about it. This is not the time to talk about the negative effect of all this. But what are the solutions? Africa works in a very different way. And we must not, and I like what my colleague talked about earlier, and I'll be finishing after bringing out these issues. What are we able to bring out in terms of recycling infrastructure? It sounds very complicated, but tell Kenyans that we are buying e-waste, deliver, we pay you. It's over. There is no regulation you need. That's how Africa works. What is in the e-waste? The motherboard has got gold, it's got silver, it's got other expensive materials. In our country, Kenya and other places, people are dying of landslides because they are looking for gold. Tell them that there is gold in the motherboard. What are we doing at the moment? We are exporting the motherboard because we don't have technology. And we have been doing this for many years. Tweak. Get the language to be understood. There is money to be paid. The other challenge is on informal sector challenges. How do we manage the informal sector and the issue of cartels? Cartels thrive because there is no structure. We are doing an activity called the Green Africa Villages, where you can manage waste from your grassroots because it's more other activities. Cartels do understand that there is money. And we are just hiding under the situation of cartels. And also the supporters do not want to hurry up and bring in the technology that is going to help us to sort out and to be able to sort out the gold, silver, and other expensive materials, including platinum, because it is more useful there. One of the most thriving institutions here, they are collecting, taking to Rwanda, into Dubai. We go and buy golden rings after they've gone back there. We are only collecting. Make money as a business. What is the other item that we could be able to, regulatory issues? Can we quickly balance issues? We are talking of not importing e-waste. And I'm glad that my colleague from NEMA said it very well. Kenya does not allow e-waste to be imported. But what are we doing? We are importing a lot of it. The cars that are coming with the radios that we are going to remove 90%, is that not importation? Can't we be able to deal with it before the car comes? Can't we advance in terms of producing these items in a manner that makes economic business sense, in a way that we can even allow that waste to be produced locally? Are there no opportunities that we can use to train trainers at the grassroots level to be able to understand what needs to be done. I wish I had more time. We could talk until the cows come home. But the idea is to move us from processes of thinking that it can't be done or following. And I can never thank enough my colleague who talked about a situation of us cutting and pasting laws without applying what is applicable here. When we were doing 844 system, the former president, Mwai Kibaki, said, let the children go to school and deal with the mess. It was sorted because it was done. We are here talking about laws on e-waste and EPR. It is only Samsung that I'm told is able to collect some of the phones when they produce them. Where are the other makers? Where are our toys in the millions that are in our homes? WEEE Center is doing a tremendous job. Congratulations. But how and where are we able to collect all things if we can't go to the grassroots and be able to deal with those items as a money-making opportunity to deal with the challenges that we have in our country? We are looking for jobs. Jobs are plenty.
I wish we had more time. I think that was very powerful. And even the learning. Remember I said part of the objective is to learn. He has given us the figures. He has given us the challenges and some of the solutions. And even from his passionate talk, if you ask yourself why you're in this conference now, you know. We are all part of the mess. Yeah? We have these mobile phones that Dr. is talking about. Some of us have the vehicles that he's mentioned. So we need to think. So when you come to the conference, just don't say, you know, it's the big players who are causing the problem. But with that said and done, David, I hate being in your position to talk after Dr. has spoken. But well, just tell us, from a private sector perspective, and you know when we talk about Gogla, what comes to mind is solar. Solar is another monster, right? The battery life of most of the lithium ion phosphate is about 7 years, yeah? Now, and then the PV panel has a more extensive life span. But tell us, what are some of these initiatives that the private sector, and especially in the solar area, there that can sort out the mess that we have in e-waste?
Yeah, good afternoon once again. Maybe I didn't explain who Gogla is, and maybe not everyone knows, but Gogla is a global industry association for off-grid solar. So we are the representative body for mainly the off-grid solar industry, but we engage within the sector. Maybe just carrying on from what Dr. has saying without mentioning the numbers, since he has elaborated that pretty well. A lot of these solutions or technologies or appliances that you're talking about are useful appliances. So we are buying phones to be connected, financial inclusion. We are buying solar because we need to power our homes, our schools, our health centers. We are buying cars because we need to move. And all these other appliances, electrical appliances. So we are helping ourselves, our communities, even to adapt to climate change or to be more resilient. When we talk about solar water pumps, for example, okay, could be part of the solution to ourselves being food secure. So all these technologies are important, and you're importing them in millions. In the off-grid space, we are talking of over 150 million households having some off-grid solar appliance. In Kenya, we are maybe selling more than 1 million a year. So, as Dr. has said, the numbers are mind-boggling. The capacity we have to collect, I think we heard of the some initiatives in the previous panel to recycle, to repair, to refurbish, because when you talk about electrical appliances, it's not just collection and dumping, or you can actually repair and increase the lifespan of these products. It's very low. A few years back, the off-grid solar companies came together to address this challenge as a way of, being responsible business people. The off-grid sector usually serves a very unique market. Those who are hard to reach with electricity, most times also poor, and various technologies are being innovated every year to get access to them. And it is important, but we need to do this in a responsible manner. And one of the initiatives that a few years back, and WEEE Center, I think, has been part of that journey, is to try and collect a lot of these end-of-life products from the market, to recycle, to get all these minerals that we are talking about from these motherboards, from these panels, from these equipment. And it's been a success because it was a pilot. Before even the law came into place and NEMA started mandating all these things. And what was being piloted was, to increase the number of collection centers, to pilot take-back schemes, incentives. I think one of the things that has been highlighted here was, people need some motivation to return these products. And it is not as easy for companies that have participated in these voluntary schemes. It's not easy to get that solar lantern returned by an individual to the nearby collection center. One, we need to increase those collection centers because they were lacking. And then sensitize a lot of people around it. So that's where the story began, and we brought companies together. We've had an initiative for a number of years now. Companies have come up with voluntary schemes of take-back schemes to repair, refurbish, recycle, and they partner with WEEE Center and other recyclers and waste collectors within the country and within the region to address this mess. The solar industry has been growing for more than 10 years now. We are now talking of e-mobility. That's more batteries being brought into the market. How do we address all these things? So together with CAM, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, I think Miriam highlighted this in the morning, and the Kenya Renewable Energy Association, we supported an industry initiative to set up a new waste PRO, that is EPROC that was mentioned, has just started, operations. So any company here that is within that space can reach out to CAM to do that. And the whole reason why we are doing this is not only to address, one, we need to calculate that sustainable business practices within industry, but also to manage the waste that is in huge quantities. I would actually challenge NEMA. Maybe we don't need to ban waste coming into the country, because that's where WEEE Center will be making their money. That's where EnviroServe, who are also recyclers, are making money. And sometimes they've had to export the waste from Uganda through Kenya. And yet they have a processing plant in the river that can process that waste, but because the law does not allow, so we need to be more dynamic and flexible as we become more organized, more numbers being shared, then it's an opportunity actually. It's a huge, huge industry.
Sure.
What Samsung is doing, and they're members of EPROC, Safaricom, and all those initiatives are key. And they are in there because there's also an opportunity. It's not just a CSR activity, but there's also, it's a business opportunity and can employ a lot of Kenyans, the youth, the unemployed, which is also a big challenge that this country is facing.
Thank you, David. Brian, to come to you, you've had the numbers, you've had the challenges. Is this a Kenyan problem? how is Uganda doing? Are we the ones in trouble? Are we looking at it from a regional perspective? Speak to us about Umoja Conservative, what you're doing, and if you have the same challenges in Uganda.
Asante sana, CEO Mbithi. A special relation to my previous speakers. Dr. Kalu, I didn't know you had such a powerful grasp of the sector. Asante sana. Well, brilliant question you give me, and I suppose you, how much time are you giving me?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. I travel all the way to get something.
I'll give you more airtime. Maybe
it's a serious one.
2 minutes. Keep it short and
Okay.
sweet. Keep it short and sweet.
I'll try my best. I think this is the shortest time I've gotten on international fora to speak about e-waste, but I'll do my best. So, firstly is to appreciate you and the entire team. More importantly, the revolutionary government of His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Indeed, a revolutionary government in the conservation, environment, and governance space. He comes into power. Shortly after that, he convenes what so many other African leaders have failed to do, and that's the African Climate Summit. Bringing these guys, COP27, 28 years you're discussing, but none of you has been to Africa, who is always at the batting end, receiving end. So again, that's why we took time to get here. I think for me and for the people I speak for is, one, Kenya is moving very fast and very well. But you cannot go far if you move alone. You will not go anywhere. And we've seen this in the conservation world. I don't know how many have been to Mount Elgon here. I've seen my friend Dr. Nyamu. We walked all the way for the elephants. Karibu sana. He's one of our serious supporters for waste management in the protected areas. If you go to Mount Elgon, on the Ugandan side, it's bare. On the Kenyan side, it's protected, heavily protected. But what's happening now is that because the Ugandans have finished their side, they are now encroaching on the Kenyan side. Yes, true story. So this will happen in e-waste if we don't move as a team. I don't know if you've been to River Malaba. It's one of the transboundary resources that bind these two nations. Uganda is Kenya's leading trading partner, and if I'm not mistaken, it's Kenya's leading tourism partner. But sadly, we're not protecting our natural resources properly. So our request here is to make a connection between sustainable e-waste management and climate change. But more importantly, to help us agree on the immediate and short-term steps that we must take starting today to correct the anomaly. I don't know if that answers the question.
Excellent.
Good.
You still want to go on?
Yes, I want to make very important, now for me it's very quickly to make the correlation.
Okay, quickly.
70% of carbon emissions are from the energy sector worldwide. We're yet to do a study in East Africa, and probably that's why our partnership is important. For this energy transition to be done, the central element that will connect the two is electronics and electrical gadgets. So without a sustainable mining agenda, of which the solution is in urban mining, e-waste management, hatutofika mbali. So our request here is to say then, from this meeting, can we resolve, can we agree that going forward, we move as a team, as a region, and agree to, one, have harmonized systems, standardizations, and transformations of e-waste management, sustainable, one. Two, can we go to where it hurts most, and that's the future? Get the young people more involved. We had a fantastic presentation from Jazz and his team. Thank you very much. And we had a fantastic presentation from my friend Griffin, former Chokora. I don't know if he's still around. This is the team that's going to lead the Africa Revolution. And for your information, comrade, if this meeting agrees, Umoja Conservation Trust, Foreign Affairs of Uganda, State Department of Foreign Affairs who are here, you can wave to the people. Thank you very much. We will work together to create the East Africa e-waste bonanza. This is to bring the 7 countries in East Africa, have a special day that we'll call the East Africa e-waste day, collect all e-waste across East Africa, take it to the various central collecting points, take it to the various MRFs, the mineral recovery facilities, and then agree on a joint solution. This, for me, is one step in the right direction. Lastly, it's important for all of us, and I mean all of us, we're talking about circularization of the economy. This is the green economy. I wish we had in here 11 countries from the Nile, because this is how we connect. If this meeting can agree that going forward next year, we have the Nile E-West Conference. Bring here all decision makers, bring here all players, let's all commit to specific targets, specific reviews and policies, so that we can tackle this beautiful trash to treasure agenda. Asanteni sana.
Quite a panel, yeah? I wish we had more time. Thanks, Brian. We'll pick up on those partnerships. Tracy,
Yes.
on behalf of the development partners, what is your space in all this ecosystem?
So what I would say the space is looking, and I'm looking at the perspective of,
You can hear Tracy?
can you hear me now? Wonderful. So what I would say would be the space for the development sector would be looking at employment. Dr. Ari had just mentioned about that there is potential of employment in this ecosystem. I foresee, like in the scenarios where we actually recycle the e-waste, can we have, from my end, I see there's a gap. We recycle and then sell to other people, and they do the manufacturing for us. Like he mentioned, we take to other countries, they get the gold, and then they bring it back to sell to us. Is there potential for the Kenyans to actually do it themselves? That is the angle I would go about. If we can do all this, we provide employment to the youth in the country, and also be able to scale up the SME sectors, and also support the informal sector.
Thank you. Where is our timekeeper? Do you have time for questions, maybe to the panel? I'm sure the audience. Any questions, quick ones? Or comments? There's one, there's a lady in green.
Hi everyone, my name is Faith. From Essence Park Limited, we do waste management and health and safety. From the entire discussion since morning, I champion a program for Mama Raslimali, which is Women in Waste, and I still find a gap where we are also looking into empowering women in the community levels to be able to tap into this kind of information. And I am requesting that even as we do this, we also remember the CBOs and women in this space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Faith. We will not allow for more questions because we are running short of time, Bonnie. So.
Okay, but our panelists will be around. Maybe one last word from each of them, now that you didn't ask any questions.
I think, Faith, you have brought it home. Inclusion of women, inclusion of the youth who are here earlier on, they say they want to be included in these processes. What we are doing in this needs to be aligned, one, from the county level, where the county governments, even as you deal with every challenges that you have, with a lot of money that is there, even though it can be even more, there needs to be a small docket and a budget that is aligned with e-waste as a solution for creating job opportunities. Secondly, the issue of having standards at the importation level. If today Kenya Bureau of Standards raised an issue to say that the cars that are coming to Kenya, since we have realized that over tens of years, we have not been using the car radio that comes into the country, let it be changed from the source. Or if it is going to be here, because we are importing e-waste as it is, if it is going to be done from here, then let us deliberately create a job opportunity through the auto bazaar or somewhere where they are being collected, and we are mining the gold ourselves from that process and creating job opportunities. There needs to be very specific laser point focus of this kind of a process. The women, as Faith is asking, it is the women who buy toys for their children. Imagine if at the county level, you get a women program that brings in all the toys that are lying in our homes. And you buy some equipment to produce the fencing poles that are of plastic, because in those parts of toys, majorly is plastics. If we just saved out of the travels that we are making at the county level to various parts, thank God they are reduced. But one trip is enough to buy one small equipment or a system that can be able to produce floor tiles, roofing tiles, and even fencing poles that would create opportunities at the savings of these processes. We need to be able to also at the county level to imagine we are causing there is a lot of health hazards, a lot of cancer issues, a lot of other sicknesses that are caused by all this. Is it the budget for health that we are supposed to switch and also have it as part of this process? Because you can never look at e-waste and waste management generally from one point of view. Neither is it supposed to be under one budget line. It's supposed to be used across so that you can be able to use health funds and justify it for e-waste and waste management, because eventually people are going to get sick. Eventually you need to save them before they get sick, because the pharmaceutical companies, in their interest, they want to sell more of their medicine. How do we save our people from all these kind of processes? And then finally, creating that awareness in a way that we can bring in technology. How can it be that we cannot buy technology? We don't even have to be favored by anyone or even to be supported by anyone. It is going to the shop and buying equipment that can be able to remove, or technology that is able to remove gold, silver, platinum, and all these from the equipment that we are bringing. It's something that we need to deal with from our minds and be able to involve our youth, and they know what to do in these processes. So let us look at this process. Tell an African man or an African adult to conserve environment, you'll be left alone. But show them how to make money. The story is over.
Ooh, wonderful. So let's clap for Daktari. I think I don't want to take a lot of time. Maybe the next panel can be coming up as we wind up. David, quick 30 seconds as we call, who is the next panel? Amadi.
Yeah, thanks, moderator, for this. I think mine is to say that private sector has the solutions. It's a big opportunity, as Daktari has mentioned, and we need to take it. I would actually say within the EAC, the first person to make sure that the environment is ready for private sector to invest, we have the right tools to regulate the electronic waste sector, will be the first to benefit from it, and it's a huge opportunity. Kenya is well placed to be at that moment, be the country that leads on this. Private sector is ready to engage. As I've mentioned, we have already voluntary schemes even before the law became law, and we've learned a lot, and we can actually do quite a lot. Create job opportunities, provide these solutions, technologies, appliances to the people who need them most, but in a sustainable and responsible manner. We need to create a lot of awareness so that we can be able to create more value, as well as developing the waste collection system. The whole infrastructure needs to be in place if you are to really benefit and tap this huge potential that we have in the sector. And we need the likes of Kenya Power in this room, because they're also importing a lot of electronic waste, but I've not had them in a lot of conferences. They're the ones bringing a lot of the equipment that we use, cables, transistors, whatever it is. A lot of it. We need everybody on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Ehud, you can be coming up to prepare for your panel as we get 30 seconds from Brian.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mbithi. To the informal sector in this room, I think we, and I put myself in the informal sector, we need to stand up and get counted. Let's speak up, let's raise our voices, and let's get our informal sector formalized. To the governance team and the central government and local government guys in this team, please ascertain the carbon footprint of your counties, of your jurisdictions, and create mitigating aspects of the same. To the private sector, I think it's extremely important through the ESG and self-governance aspects for us to come together and say, one, what's our capital development mechanism? Two, do we have a voluntary offset policy? Three, how do we deliberately involve inclusiveness of these hard-to-reach sectors of society, joining into the green economy? And lastly, again, is to the informal sector, can we join our efforts together with all other teams, put all our brains, and let the conservation agenda, the decarbonization agenda, be at the heart of e-waste management? Asanteni sana.
Asante. Tracy, final words.
Thank you. I'm going to be very brief, but from my angle, I see we need two things: capacity building and creating awareness. Why do I say capacity building? We need to provide the youth with skills, as well as also the informal sector and the formal, private, with all the skills in e-waste management. Why not even scale up the skills that are there? Leverage on the technology equipment, bring this equipment so we can do it ourselves. Two, creating awareness. Most people till to date think that e-waste is the same as waste. Just a brief scenario, like we in Carrefour, there are these baskets where you can go drop off your e-waste. But sometimes when I go there, I see people just dropping other their normal waste. So we need to create awareness on e-waste. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's clap for the panel and appreciate them.
A round of applause for the panel and also for the moderator of the session, that's Bonnie Mbidi. They'll have a photo session there, and then we'll be given some gifts from WEEE Center, and then we'll be moving on swiftly to the next panel. So the next panel will be focusing on the role of digital technology and innovation in accelerating the transition to circular economy, moderated by Dr. Ehud Gashugo, who is the project director for Ajira Digital at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. So thank you so much. Don't tire. We'll ask Dr. Ehud to also speed up the process so that we move to the next session quickly. And hopefully, Mbidi, are we having drinks after the conference? That's a question we'll be able to answer after you sit down. So you never know. Just keep, we'll try and keep time. We have not yet reached the end of the conference yet. The next session has great panelists. So Dr. Ehud Gashugu. A round of applause for Dr. Ehud Gashugu.
One minute, sorry, Ebenezer.
Yes.
The team from State Department, Foreign Affairs, just quickly come over to take a photo. This is the team that will be leading our diplomatic efforts to create an East Africa Bonyaza, green economy. Sure, we need diplomats. Some can come on this side.
Great. So we're moving forward to the next session. Thank you so much, Bonnie, and your panel who have been discussing the impact of e-waste on the climate. Dr. Ehud, let's proceed to the next session so that we keep time.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, it's such a great pleasure for us to be here and for us then to continue the conversation that has started in the morning. My name is Ehud Gachogo. I work with Kenya Private Sector Alliance. I lead youth and jobs practice area, and part of my portfolio is on the digital economy, and so I'm very, very privileged to be part of this convening and also to moderate this panel today. We are speaking about the role of digital technology and innovation in accelerating transition to circular economy. A lot has been said today, and of course conversations have happened around what needs to get done to move our business processes from linear models to circular models. What's the role of e-waste management processes, innovations in helping accelerate that? And what's the contribution of all the ecosystem actors in making that happen? To be able to delve further in terms of the intersection between digital economy and circularity, I'm privileged to have a very capable, eminent persons, a panel of eminent persons that understand the intersection between digital and circularity. And I would like to call them forward. With me is Madam Mary Ngechu, the CEO of Takanimale. Olivia, my partner in crime in many things, from Close the Gap. Please come forward, Olivia. Karen from Mr. Green Africa, welcome on board. I have Professor Amos Omamo from Meru University of Science and Technology. MAST, Professor, Karibu. We have Eric Mwiricha from Circularity Space. Eric. Thank you, Eric. And last but not least, I have Eddie Gitonga from TThe. I think by the size of the panel, you can see how important digital transformation is to circularity. And I want to start with a very quick intro. And since I didn't do justice into the introduction, I want you to quickly introduce yourself. And since now here I have a timer on my palm, just use 1 minute each to introduce yourself, tell us about how this topic relates to the work you're doing, and actually more importantly, how e-waste can create more and better jobs, because that was the last parting shot by the panel that was here. So I didn't want just that to be closed out. So my panel decided to take that one up. So I will start from the far end. Kindly quickly let us know your name and how this topic relates to the work you do and job creation potential for e-waste.
Thank you very much. My name is Eddie Gitonga. I'm the founder of the TThe. So the TThe is a smart, intelligent, solar-powered segregated waste bin that educates people on waste separation at source, and in the WEEE waste contest is, as Madam Tracy JZ was saying, we need to create more awareness on the e-waste space. We also are in the circular economy space where we train students and the community on circular economy activities, where in my capacity I'm representing Paragon Institute of Innovation as the Kenyan coordinator for those activities. It's a non-profit from the US. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Eric Monene. I have grown up next to the largest dam site in East Africa, the Dandora dam site. And I've witnessed men, women, and sometimes even children scavenging for things that they can sell to make a living. So when I got to the university, my interest in technology, I studied software engineering, and I wanted to link it to this problem that was affecting people or in people in my community. And that's why the idea of circularity space came in. I started working with IoT and AI technologies to build smart collection points. And what we do is we've trained an AI model to identify and sort waste. So we're able to identify plastic waste, electronic waste. And on top of this, we provide a platform we call Circularity IQ, which is AI-driven and provides traceability of waste materials. We do carbon tracing, and we provide sustainability reports.
Good afternoon. So my name is Professor Amos Omamo from the Meru University of Science and Technology. And as has been stated, I'm the Director, Research, Innovation, Commercialization, and Extension. Quite a mouthful. So currently I head the whole ecosystem of research at the university. And specifically, if you get my title, we are actually doing the circularity because we're trying to encourage researchers not only to research, but to innovate and finally to commercialize. The E bit is a community extension and engagement. And in all this, we have a greater good because at the end of it all, it's not only money, but we need to protect our environment and actually be part of this conversation. At the end of it, I will speak to regulations and frameworks. And I'm not government, but I would want to pose a challenge to you. What is government? When you talk about government, we are the government. So I want us to get collective responsibility and see how we can pitch into this conversation. Thank you.
So thank you. My name is Mary Ngechu, and I'm the founder for Takataka ni Mali. And as the slogan say, waste is wealth. So what we are trying to do is to make sure that what we are calling waste, whether it is electronic waste, plastic waste, we can get value from that, what we are calling waste. So what we do is to build an ecosystem of different stakeholders because we appreciate that we have diverse waste streams, and to treat it requires diverse industries. So we are working with different industries. Those are different recyclers who are recycling different waste streams. And at the bottom of the pyramid, we organize groups to collect. They will collect all the waste. Then we'll link them to the people who are going to come in to buy the waste that they are working together. We do a lot of capacity building. And our capacity building is from making money and also improving their social life. I remember in the morning somebody who was talking about the street boys, how they change the behavior so that they don't just see waste as an area where they are collecting waste. They are able to appreciate that they are cleaning the environment, and they're also able to make some money and also build an entrepreneurial culture so that they can be able to scale. So we work across different sectors. Then apart from that, then we have a digital platform that we have put together. And again, the digital platform, we are doing the same thing, that bringing together the different stakeholders, people with different digital apps, so that we are able to harness and centralize the data so that we can build more value of data that we have. With corporates, we are working with corporates and trying to build a culture of ESG reporting because we believe with corporates, they have what then is called the Scope 3 reporting. We are able to work with them for their value chain so that we can build that culture of ESG reporting. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm Kieran Smith. I'm co-founder and CEO from Mr. Green Africa. We are actually a fully integrated plastic recycling company that leverages technology, both software and hardware, to turn plastic waste into value. So now you might ask yourself, why am I here? And I think what we've done in the early days is really built a system based on two principles. Number one, we can include the informal market and enable them to be part of a much more formal system, enable them fair, transparent pricing, dignified transactions, and really truly link to a market, a stable market. And then the second thing we've done in the second principle is local value addition. It was also mentioned today, local value addition is extremely key because we can create local solutions and not have to create or depend on international solutions for that matter. And so these two things, if you think about it, need to be leveraged with technology. If we want to do it at scale, at speed, technology is extremely critical. And so software technology allows us to register the informal market, transact with them in real time, hopefully even pay them via mobile money to create traceability in the transaction. And then in the value addition side and part, leveraging Internet of Things, which also has been mentioned, to in order to run machines efficiently and have a knowledge about these machines, link them into the web so that you have real-time knowledge about it. And then leveraging those two things allows us to create a more efficient, more equal, and more inclusive value chain. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Olivier van den Einde. I'm based in Mombasa since 5 years, a Kenyan resident as an impact investor. I'm the CEO of Close the Gap Kenya. We try to leverage the digital inclusion by making affordable computers and technology devices available in the market, mostly focusing on aspiring young entrepreneurs. So far in Mombasa we employ 50 employees, and we operate an ITThe facility, which stands for IT Asset Disposition. So basically it's upcycling of devices that we buy from first-time users that are ending their first use with it. And the second facility is in Mombasa town. There we have a tech hub where we host a program called Boost, which is trying to bring under one roof access to everything you need as a young aspiring entrepreneur to set up a circular economy business, including also our own impact accelerator funds where we invest up to ticket sizes between $10,000 and $70,000 in young startups, from mostly focusing on the coast. Very glad to be here and in this panel.
Introductions, and since Mary, you represent majority, I will start with you. And it's interesting that you've mentioned around the way your business is organized, and also the fact that you have actually invested in digital technology platform. And my first question is the inspiration behind, moving from traditional, conventional waste management model to digital, and more importantly, it's also how that innovation has facilitated and will facilitate the growth of your business, and also more so how do you bring other important stakeholders that you've mentioned in your value chains and in the partnerships to adapt digitization of waste management supply chains.
So thank you, Ehud. And when I talk about different stakeholders, I've worked with Mr. Green Kiran here, a project that we did in Gong, and what we did was to organize the team. And because I'm not processing waste, then I connected him with the aggregators who are collecting waste, and he goes directly to buy from them. That means he's giving maximum value to the people who are collecting waste. I've worked with WEEE Center, and again also in Kajiado, and what we did is, as we were creating that campaign and awareness of electronic waste, I'm not the expert in the electronic waste, so they come in and they bring that expertise of that. So there's a lot that is happening in waste management, but every stream or every sector is not coordinated. And when you look at the bottom of the pyramid, whether they are waste collectors who we want to create revenue for, they have opportunity to collect all the waste across, because the waste is with whether the sources of waste will have all the waste. So if we have to create value for them, then we need to come up in a way that they are well organized and well coordinated, so that the people who are adding value to waste can find them organized and they have enough waste. It would not make sense for anyone to go for a kilo of plastic or a kilo of paper, but when they are put together, then they can be able to aggregate and have more. Then also understanding the industry, if Mr. Green goes to the market and finds the waste when it is well sorted, he will buy it more expensive because it's less work for him in the next process that he puts together. So that is the bit that we do in organizing the ecosystem stakeholders. I'm working with KEPSA, I'm working with KAM, and what they do, and I'm also working with NEMA and the Ministry of Environment, because they are stakeholders in the whole area. And when we work with KEPSA, we are able then to bring the business, the corporates, to give value to the waste pickers who we have put together. There is a lot that have been talked about campaign and awareness. And that gap, it requires money, it requires resources, it requires collaboration or effort for that to happen. So we know the gap is there, but do we have the resources to do that? I'm putting together that effort so that we can use shared resources so that we make as much as possible campaign and awareness to change the mindset. We talked about the culture. In our culture, we have grown mixing waste. So when you tell people that there is value in waste, and this is why I use the word takataka ni mali. I liked what Daktari said. Show the people how to make money, then everything else will flow. So when they first see this mindset of making money, then it is easy to change the mindset and the culture. Sorting and separating at source, it may happen, but we may not necessarily be able to sort fully to maximize the value that we can be able to pick there. So the other thing that we are doing is to bring in a technology of a stakeholder partnership that we have partnered with, an equipment that is able to sort and separate the waste. And our interest here is what that is unrecoverable, because people will pick from hands. Then when that is recovered, imagine your paper for bread, sweets and all that, we cannot be able to separate that by hand. So we're bringing in a technology to separate that waste. Then that waste then can be added value into making other products, whether it is construction material and that. The digital technology then enhances the efficiency across that whole ecosystem. We are then able to have data that can be able, that is traceable in true data, that can help decision making of these industries that are coming up together. And through that data, we can also be able to grow ourselves even to future revenue of what we are calling the carbon credits and the carbon market, because there is traceability and integrity of the data that we can be able to collect from there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think you've pointed a very interesting perspective around the value that, digital technology can bring on complex ecosystems like the waste management. And for example, that aspect of coordination, I think it's a very big topic, because then even if we are talking about data harvesting, then there has to be a way that then we are coordinating and really moving towards open and shared resources that then enhances efficiency across the entire value chain. And I think the question of data and traceability is a very critical one. And I know Mr. Green, Karen, you just mentioned that you've been in that ecosystem and you've been working towards improving on data and just trying to work on our data to be able to bring insights that help in the business. So what's your experience in that, and what sort of advice would you give those who are trying to come up into this space where they want to really bring digital solutions into their enterprises and also use data for insight, expansion and decision making?
Thank you for that. Well, the key question is, why are we doing this, right? Why is traceability important? And it's when we look at the global trends, there is a key push of really understanding where your feedstock or where the raw materials or where the content of what you're consuming is really coming from, also from a consumer perspective. And so more and more as we work in the commodity world, it's very important to know where is this feedstock or this material coming from. And then the second question is it exploitation free? Is it child labor free? And so all these nuances of where it's coming from and how it's been acquired is extremely important. And when we look at what the global brand owners are doing and what they're looking for when they purchase any type of commodity, they're under tremendous amount of pressure to showcase that they purchase their resources and their input material in an exploitation-free manner. And so hence, this is why traceability is extremely important. And so when we look at the e-waste space or the plastic waste, or for that matter, any recyclable waste space, this is a huge issue in the informal market, and because of that, nobody is willing to touch it. And we all know we're facing a problem. So how do we combine the two? And so with bringing in more traceability and enabling the engagement of brand owners to actually see where this is coming from, and that there are organizations that actually truly value, like Takataka Nimali, to try to create capacity building and an inclusive way of how people can be part of the system. Because what is the alternative is disrupting that system. That would be even more detrimental to the ecosystem. And so the solution is to really include them and make them part of it and ensure that they earn a living wage, right? Or for that matter, even a living standard. So coming to your question, the analytics will help a tremendous amount of understanding behavior, understanding price points, understanding volatilities in the various different parts of value chains. And then, of course, also when you go a bit more downstream into the value addition, when it comes to turning waste into value, dismantling or recycling, in all these forms, if you have data that supports and gives you real-time information of how much resources you used, you can do also that part of the process much more efficiently. And so hence, data will allow us to make key decisions, make investments, and truly connect the dots along the value chain and make the big brand owners or whoever is interested in buying the commodities part of that value chain without fear.
Yeah, I think that's a very good response, and it's the same way where you're just putting applications to be able to give you a data, and I think the topic that was that's really now lingering in my mind is all these type of technology solutions, and I think Eddie, you mentioned about big titles on blockchain, artificial intelligence, IoT, very big terms, and I'm really trying to look at to really hotspot this in value chains on the waste management ecosystem and circularity. Break it down for us, these technologies, and how they're being applied, and what's the optimal way of small enterprises that are venturing into it to tap into this array of emerging technologies to strengthen their business systems, but also to increase productivity and use this and green data that can help them in their business decisions.
Thank you very much, Eric. Apparently, I'll give you, I think you all know of that short story of someone who put a transmitter in a plastic bottle, and he really wanted to understand if this plastic bottle would end up being recycled. So my colleague over here, Eric, who have been raised around the Nora Dam site, actually the bottle took around 6 weeks. It was collected and it ended up in the dam site, and it actually came out of the dam site again. Picking up on Kieran's, traceability, and now that we have upgraded in every area of the sectors that we are in, where we need to incorporate technology. So I'll talk in my personal capacity, where our smart bins are able to detect the different types of waste. So our first version, we built our first version in 2021. We're in the process of building our version 2, where we have 4 different categories of waste, where e-waste is one of them. And the AI module is where we have an image recognition module, where it is able to recognize the different types of waste, more than 200,000 types of waste. There's also challenges, especially in the AI, and especially when you have for example, a glass bottle, and it's not able to know whether it's glass or plastic. So apparently you need systems like Mary's, where you need more of incorporating systems where you separate the waste further. And when you talk about tech, the evolution in technologies right now, we have a lot of the phone that we have right now is not the phone that we'll have tomorrow. And what technologies that we need to have in place, especially in waste collection, from the disposal point to eventually recycling, is what matters most. And especially when you want to have correct figures of I dumped this microwave in a certain truck KCX. Are you able to know that actually that microwave got to WEEE Center? So we did such solutions, especially in IoT, to really track the waste that is produced. And I know it's a term that will be on everyone's lips, especially now that we want to accelerate the SDGs. Without IoT, I don't think we're going to have our sustainable development goals achieved, because technology is really a part of us. It is something that we really have to embrace. We have two types of bins. We really didn't want to be as much as we're disruptive. We really wanted to adapt and adopt to the existing and the current systems, where we have just like the normal bins, and then we've set up an IoT system where we have an ultrasonic sensor that sensors the level of the bin, if it's full or not. And then we have a load cell where we are able to know if we collected, let's say, 40 kilos of waste per day. With this data, you're able to understand, you're able even to set more targets. We were to collect 30% of e-waste from Kilimani, which we did not achieve. And then with IoT or AI, you're able to set higher targets. There's a lot we could talk about technology and the disruption that it is creating in our society right now, but also how do you also inculcate these education, these technologies in our schools, where we will need to create a generation of children that understand that waste is supposed to go into a certain color code. I know this a lady from JZ said that at Carrefour you find someone disposing of a pizza box or a plastic bottle. How will we have systems in place in our? I know grade 3 are doing something on separation of waste, which is not being built up. We need to have more time to have the systems in place. But how do we have a culture and a generation of people that understand that different types of waste should go to the particular places that it's supposed to be? Yeah. So there's a lot we could talk about tech, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Eddie, for that. And that actually brings to the question of innovation. And Eric, you've been in a very interesting space where I based on the looks, you look like the people I serve. So being a young person and in this space of innovation, how has it been for you, and really that intersection of some very complex ecosystems where waste management, circularity, tech, it's not a topic for every day and not something that's known for. What have been your lessons in terms of your startup, and what sort of challenges have you gone through, and how have you tackled them?
Thank you. So, looking where I've come from, in Dandora, people who've been through the dump site know that area. Of course, it stinks a lot. There's a lot of smoke, especially. There's a school near the dump site called James Gishuru School, and there was a dump site. So there are some mornings, let's say every Wednesday, when the dump site needs to be burned so that people can collect metal. So every morning, kids come to school and they smoke in their classrooms, and that didn't make sense to me. So when I enrolled in the university, I went there with that problem, that there's a lot of waste being generated, and despite having thousands of people working at the dump sites, they're still not able to cater for the waste that that we produce on a daily basis, even here in Nairobi. So I went to university with that idea of how can we incentivize people to sort waste at source. And myself studying software engineering, I came up with this idea of why don't we use the technology that is already available? Let's use IoT, let's use camera sensors so that you can identify, sort this waste where it's supposed to go, and even take it a step further and pay people for bringing that recyclable waste. And starting out, of course, back then, the technology wasn't there yet. Of course, we had AI coming up, but if you wanted to build an AI system back then, you needed to collect your own data, you needed to train your models, and then you needed to do some piloting. So we were lucky to get support from the university, the Research and Innovation Department. And while testing out our products, we had our first smart bin in 2020. And when we approached Coca-Cola, they actually loved the idea, and we set up our first bin that was able to collect plastic bottles. Of course, it could sort plastic from cans, but then Coca-Cola just wanted one type of waste, which is plastic. But then they wanted their staff to earn some money from the plastic bottles that they bring. And the model worked that you bring your plastic from home, you drop it in the bin, you earn points that you can redeem at the cafeteria for either an extra mandazi or even tea. And that it showed me that there's a proof of concept that this technology that can work and that is needed. If Coca-Cola can adopt even at a pilot stage, it shows you that that corporate needed that solution. Since then, the challenge of, AI has really come a long way. Today we have ChatGPT that is making work easy. And for us, it's, as long as we're able to collect enough data and train our models, our accuracy at the moment is at 86% for electronic waste. We are at 90% for plastic waste. So when you bring a recyclable item to our bin, it's able to identify what you want to throw and even give you points that is equivalent to the recycling value of the item you're dropping. So we are at a place, even as a country, we passed the Extended Producer Responsibility Act, there's the Waste Management Act, and this is the time where our technology is really needed by the corporates, by the recyclers, and by the government, since the data is really critical. And that's the area where circularity is coming in. Thank you.
Great. And I think, just listening to you, Eric, I'm so very inspired, and I'm wondering how many other young people could see opportunities like you saw them. And I know, Olivia, you've been working in this space of trying to open eyes of young people just to see opportunity within e-waste management, supply chains, or other, other important circularity interventions. So the question for you, when will you stop saying that there are no job opportunities, where in real that young people cannot find them? And then I know for Close the Gap, you work around acceleration and supporting people to find and see jobs in the opportunities that they don't understand is what you focused on. So what's some of the best practices? What are some of the things that you've seen, and especially on the digital and e-waste sector?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm very, very hopeful. I must say, being in this space now for 5 years, and then in the coastal city of Mombasa, with the blue economy obviously being a very thriving area of interest for many people, many citizens of the coastal counties, we really see such attraction thanks to the circular economy. There is so much, obviously, related to many other industries than only the blue ocean aspects, but like just to pop on something very recent, we're now engaged with the Mombasa Plastic Prize. You see there that almost 50 young entrepreneurs came up with circular economy innovative concepts, of which a couple of them have really been withheld as on the road map to investor readiness, with already some prize and award grant money in this stage, but with a clear indication to get access to seed capital to set it up as a business, set it up really with local employment. And this is just scratching the surface, because there are so many other inspirations from a circular point of view. Many of the panel members here have mentioned also the use of big data, of AI, of all the technology that is supporting us, and definitely the EPR legislation, I believe, is also going to create so much new models in this country, around the world. And Kenya definitely as a leading economy, and the Silicon Savannah here in Nairobi, I really foresee that this is really going to be the next big thing. And it's onboarded already.
Oh, wow. I think that's very good message to us. And I know, Prof, you started with a bang that we are all government, and I truly believe we are. But I think there's a question of regulatory environment for sure. And the question that actually listening to you and the rest of the team, I'm really wondering, it seems like the sector is still very nascent. Do we still need more regulations? What type of regulations and regulatory environment would facilitate thriving of this very nascent sector of e-waste? And especially looking at it from the perspective of the intersection between the circularity, we talk about EPRs, we're talking about the Waste Management Act, we're talking about Data Protection Act, we're talking about cyber security. A very sweet spot to be at a time like that, the policy environment. And as Professor sort of thinks about the question, I will be opening up the session to you, the audiences, so I'll be picking 2 questions. So kindly be typing your questions, and I'll be coming back to you in a short while. So, Prof.
Thank you very much, Ehud. Just like I started earlier on, I said that at the university, I'm actually in charge of the research ecosystem and the innovation ecosystem. So what we do in research, because the output of research is either a product, a service, or a policy. And that is what we need to encourage in all the projects that we do, what comes out. That said and done, I stopped to mention that Meru University is championing itself as a center of excellence for waste management. And already we have a clear stream of sanitation research. We have a sanitation research institute that runs full course, meaning that we go down to menstrual hygiene and fecal sludge, and we turn them to products. That is research. But we need to put policies that also actually check these. And we're trying to build a line for e-waste also, where we want to have, again, a complete line where we can actually train and we can research. There is a big problem of problematic fractions, for example. I hear everybody talking about plastic, turning it to the next level, but we also know there is the end of the second life. So what do we do with this? Coming back to what you're saying, Kenya is overregulated, and we don't have a shortage of policies. But I would put Kenya as akin to a metaphor. Kenyans are very famous for doing things the right things the wrong way. Kenyans are famous for doing the right things the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to get it right from the start and actually implement the laws that are there to the letter. So to answer you and to contribute to this, I think I'm going to speak to 3 things that can actually help us from this perspective. One are the incentives that the government is supposed to give. Tax breaks, for example, so that it is very easy for us to have startups. I see the government is doing well. Yesterday we were at the Innovation Summit, and I think they're coming up with a startup bill. So we need the government to support innovation hubs. We need the government to support startups, come up with grants together with the donor agencies, where we can actually fund the startups, definitely for the tech solutions that can actually spur this growth. And lastly, as everyone has said, we need serious awareness, education and awareness, and laws that also can promote inclusivity. And I want to put a rider again. When we talk about inclusivity, we should be very, very careful. Equity and equality is very difficult to achieve. I'll give you an example like gender. Many of us confuse gender with sexism and feminism, and therefore we should address this. We look at the systems, we look at the sizes, and we look at the numbers. So whichever way it works, it is inclusivity, so that, again, we don't end up segregating the others. So my parting shot are, we need the government to help with the incentives, we need the government to help with the regulatory frameworks, and we need the government to help with education and awareness, specifically to promote absorption. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. So allow me to pick 2 questions from the floor. Only 2 questions, as I also give my panel, some time to think about some final closing remarks. So 2 questions from the floor. There's one here. Is there any other question? And second, I will just take those two. So kindly take the mic, keep it short, brief, and if it's pointed, mention them.
Thank you very much, guys. You've done fantastically well, given the conditions that we have right now. Mine goes straight to you, Professor Mamo. One question. Do you have a decarbonization agenda at the university? And if so, how do we export it to the 11 countries along the Nile? Asante.
Good question. Thank you very much. There's another one here.
Thank you. My name is Jim Justus Nyamu. I'm known for elephants, but now we're thinking about e-waste now. And very strong terms. And, you know, Professor, you see, we must look at the attitude. Me, I'm looking at the attitude vis-a-vis the technologies and all these things. In fact, as I was coming here, I stopped a Uber guy who was throwing bottles by the window. The regulations, we have very nice regulations in this country. I would wish to hear anything about attitude. Anything, I'm dealing with an attitude towards people killing animals. So we must, anything attitude require an attitudinal way of doing it. This country and across many countries, I've just come from Congo, they're very dirty. We keep on talking about this policy. You know, in a very nice rooms here, the people who are outside there, do they have this information? We collect this garbage in our estates, then they end up in the donor in huge bag. We must think about getting out of the room. We talk about elephant in the room. Elephant are never in the house. The problem are actually outside, our attitude, and I think this is where we need to dwell ourselves so much. There is no problem with our policy. Are they ready? The NEMA, are they ready to do these things? And if they are not ready, what can we do? We must begin charging what we call citizen readership. Educate the mass, and the mass will not do madamano, but they will do something better to collect the waste and make use of it.
Thank you. That's a good question, and I think, you know, you've just put it right. Do we keep on preaching to the same members who are already know the gospel and they are born again, they are redeemed, they are done all everything? I think there's an important point there to note. And now let me turn to my panelists. You have 30 seconds each. Prof, you'll be the last one because you have a couple of questions to respond to. And I think that question around how we can leverage technology to change attitudes and to improve on innovation environment, I think is a very important one. So each one of you have 30 seconds. Allow me to start here, Oliver, going that way.
Yeah, I think for me it's so precious to see what WEEE Center has enabled in this country, and that as a tech entrepreneur and tech investors we can see that we can bring the advantages of technology to this continent and to Kenya in particular with all its advantages without making, let's say, environmental and social collateral damage out of it. I think that is my main appreciation that I want to give in my 30 seconds to WEEE Center, bringing all of those stakeholders also together. And there's lots of challenges ongoing, and this crowd of people and environmental experts around it are definitely tackling the spot-on challenges, and I want to congratulate WEEE Center for having brought us together.
Thank you. Kiren?
Thank you. Well, my message is, with regards to technology is not a silver bullet. Waste is a physical product. So it's together, the physical world and technology enhanced can bring solutions. And so we need to be mindful of that. Attitude is not an attack. And so if we bring the two worlds together, I think we have a big chance to actually tackle the problem at scale and at speed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
So my parting shot, takataka ni mali. Waste is wealth. We are all waste producers. The waste that we are all complaining and talking about is coming from our homes. How we handle it is the issue. The reason why I am pushing that gospel of saying that there's value in waste is because if we look at it as value, then we will not throw it because we cannot throw value. 90% of the waste that we generate has value. It can be recycled. What we need to do is to find a good infrastructure to recover that waste and send it to where it can be recycled, upcycled, or repurposed to add value. We also need to change our behavior on how it is that we consume, because I don't need a full plate of food if I cannot finish it. I just need 2 pieces that I can finish so that I avoid wastage. You don't need to buy bottles of water every day. What you need is not the bottle, is the water. How else can you be able to reduce how we interact with the products that we are consuming so that we also have that mind of reducing waste? Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
So my 30 seconds would be saying that technology is the future, and by us coming together in a forum such as this organized by WEEE Center, we're able to share ideas, we're able to look at the problems that you're facing, and together we come up with a solution. So let's take together, let's keep the conversation going, and a big thanks to WEEE Center for bringing us together.
Thank you. Finally, Eddie.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yesterday I had a very interesting question from the Kenya Innovation Week. A certain lady from the UK asked me, do you think of innovating a whip on your bins if someone doesn't dispose of the correct waste of the bin? And I really have been thinking about it because as Sanyamo said, you know, it's about attitude. It's about attitude. I believe that if we had, you know, it's just like the safety belts here in Kenya. When first they weren't there, I mean, no one really thought of the essence of safety belts. So if we had such measures put in place, I think all of us would be really responsible of how we dispose of our waste. And I think there's a lot that needed to be put in place in the capacity building. I'm fortunate enough to be an alumni of the Circular Innovation Hub, and they are really doing an amazing work. And from that, I picked up a good habit of putting in circular economy workshops in universities and communities, where we're able to talk to people and talk to students about the career space in the circular economy sector, at the same time, you know, creating decent jobs. I know there's a narrative where waste managers, even in the WEEE waste space, are overlooked like scavengers. But how do we create decent, you know, jobs in this space by incorporating technology, as you know, as Eric said? And my parting shot would be also, let's collaborate and let's have more conservation conversations. Thank you.
Prof, thank you. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Ehud. I think I'll start by answering first the questions that was posted to me before I actually give my parting shot. I will start with Tosh. Thank you very much for that question. You talked about decarbonization and what the university is doing. Just like I told you, I had the research function. There is a lot that is happening in this space. I'll just give you a couple of examples. At the university, we have actually developed a low-carbon cement called LC3. We are replacing clinker, which actually uses a lot of fossil fuels to come up with clay. And therefore, this reduces the carbon footprints. This is just an example of what is happening at the university. And you find that clinker comprises most of the cost of the cement. And therefore, what we are coming up with cuts the cost of cement by half and actually reducing the carbon footprints. I had my colleague also talking about IoT and the blockchain. we are trying to come up with solutions that we can use that to plant trees where there can be traceability. The more trees we plant, we can trace them using IoT and blockchain. Then we have personal responsibility and we can calculate the amount of carbon generated or amount of carbon you're reducing. The examples are so many. We are researching on replacing the plastic that you're using for phones. We want to use mushrooms. And as you know, mushrooms are easy on the soil and easy on the climate. So these are things that are happening, and the examples can go on and on and on. And we always say that we just need to look further, research further, get more partners, and we try and see how we can turn this around. Then I go to Mr. Elephant. Thank you very much for this. I think I want to give thanks to WEEE Center. WEEE Center were in this GIZ project. And we came into this project because Meru University now has a collection center, e-waste, and we are trying to come up with a mini recycling center. But we came into this project courtesy of WEEE Center. And here we have a trip. We went to Germany. And the way they wanted to change our attitude, when we landed there, the first thing they told us is, there is no money in e-waste. There is no money in e-waste. And all of us were there to look at how we can create this circular economy. But they had to change our attitude because we start with the greater good, where we look at the climate change before we come to this. I agree with you. We need to do much more in terms of trying to change our attitudes, and that is why even in our programs, we are coming up with skills enhancement programs. In all our projects, we have the social scientists who look at the behavioral, because it is a core of what we do, specifically in countries in Africa. And therefore, there is a lot going on here, and we believe that attitude change is a first perspective for us. Like you've heard the laws, we don't have shortage of laws. It's our attitudes that must change. And finally, I want to thank WEEE Center and hope that we're going to collaborate more, because I've seen that in any conversation of e-waste, WEEE Center is a constant. And I've worked with very many beautiful guys here, Joseph, Catherine, and Nancy here, and we believe that they will be key drivers to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, our dear panelists, for unpacking such a complex topic within such a constrained time. I'm sure you all agree with me that this topic could have gone on and on and on until cows come home. But because of time, we have to stop. And I want to really, really appreciate your great contributions and insight. And for that, I will ask our listeners to give you a round of applause as you step up forward for the photo. So please, let's give a round of applause to the panelists for a job well done. So thank you very much. And the other one, a round of applause to yourself for being very good audience. Thank you. I haven't had a loud of applause for yourself. Thank you. So let's step forward for a group photo, and then we can step off.
Yeah, thank you so much. A round of applause for the panel today, and Dr. Ehud Geshugu for running that session. We'll be moving on to the last leg of the session, so don't give up. Just a few more minutes and we'll be done. I would like to invite Owen Ombima from Safaricom. I will be able to give just a short snippet on Catherine. Do you have an alternative? Great. I was just looking at you because you're facilitating the next session. So, yeah, we'll be able to go up, do a short presentation on the role of digital technology and innovation in accelerating the transition to a circular economy. And then we'll move on to the next panel discussion that will be facilitated by Catherine. A round of applause for Owen.
So good afternoon. Good afternoon again. I know it's the 11th hour, so our levels are pretty down. So I'll try to make this a bit more engaging. I hope I can do that. So let me start again. So ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, good afternoon. My name is Owen Ombima, as Ebenezer has mentioned, and I serve at Safaricom, where I oversee environmental management, digitization, and automation of sustainability processes. It's very encouraging seeing a lot of familiar faces here, people who we partner with in a lot of our projects. I've seen Mary, I've seen Bonnie here, so many people. So it's very encouraging to see so many familiar faces. And as I talk about the title, which has just been spoken about by the panel here, I hope I'll add a bit more flesh to it. I know I'll not be able to match the level of information that has been poured today, but I'll try my level best to add to it. So I stand before you here today to discuss the pivotal role that digital technology and innovation plays, particularly in spearheading the transition to circular economy. In an era where technological advancements are rapidly shaping our world, I believe that organizations stand as a beacon for innovation. Organizations like Takanimali, organizations like Mr. Green Africa, who are doing their bit in order to transition to a circular economy. It is said that to getting to the moon, the computer systems that were used had less power than the calculator that you normally use at home or the mobile phone in your pocket right now. So ladies and gentlemen, I would want you to just sit back and ask yourself, if a calculator could take somebody to the moon, what will the technology that we have right now be capable of doing? And also, how can we link that to circular economy? And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to base my talk today on Safaricom and how we are looking at catalyzing and leveraging digital technologies and innovation to redefine our approach to sustainability and the circular economy. One of our cornerstones as Safaricom is impact, and this lies in our commitment to becoming a purpose-led technology company. A purpose-led technology company that is looking to transform lives in each and every way that is possible. During our last financial year, we were able to collect about 200,000 kilograms of waste. And we normally would have done this using Excel sheets, but as years have rolled over, we've realized the aspects of data and reporting analytics. And we believe that this will form a strong foundation in circular economy. This will enable us to have a bit of knowledge and insight to help us in the current and the future in regards to making decisions around circularity and ensuring that we close the loop. Moreover, Safaricom is dedicated to innovation by looking at our groundbreaking initiatives, M-Pesa being a key one of them. I know most of us have interacted with M-Pesa in one way or another. And we are looking at how can mobile money, being a key groundbreaking initiative, help us in advanced circular economy. How can it help us tackle e-waste management, which is the key topic for today's conference, and help us in recycling program? So allow me just to point out a few initiatives that we are doing that have shown that this is possible, and products like financial services can be used to drive circular economy. It was good to see that Mary was here and Kieran was also here. I don't know if he's left. But one of the projects that we are doing is a project we are doing with Mr. Green in regards to their green point system and how they are able to just generate incentives to people who bring plastic waste to them. So how did we get into such a partnership, and what are we doing with Mr. Green? So we are able to integrate our M-Pesa system to Mr. Green's green point system to open up their incentives platform, such that now anybody who takes plastic to Mr. Green and gets green points can be able to redeem their green points at any M-Pesa outlet with a till number, with an M-Pesa agent, and basically just opening up the incentives platform to everybody outside, even Nairobi. You're looking at Garissa, Kisii, anywhere that Mr. Green is willing to grow and expand into. This is one of the ways that we are leveraging on financial services. And finally, this sets us up for one of the key enablers of Safaricom and what Safaricom is driving, and that's partnerships and collaborations. Partnerships and collaborations form a fabric of how we work and how we want to create impact and transform lives. And that's why I started off with mentioning our partners and what we are doing and how we are looking to drive circular economy through our partners. Allow me to mention a couple of projects that we are doing with our partners just to appreciate them and also to show how much partnerships can contribute to the aspect of circular economy. So on e-waste, we've done a training with NEMA, with WEEE Center on formalizing the informal and training waste collectors on managing e-waste. I believe this was done in 2020 with the help of WEEE Center, and we managed to train different communities from Dandora, Kibera, and Eldoret on how to handling electronic waste. Another initiative we have been trying to do is around trade-ins. How can we prevent mobile phones from ending up in dump sites? How can we increase the length of your mobile phones? So we started 2 pilots with 2 partners, Badili Africa and Calcare, in a few selected outlets just to test the model and to figure out how we can get mobile phones, old mobile phones, spoiled mobile phones, and we can give value for those mobile phones. Unfortunately, the pilots were not successful as we hoped. We are hoping to rejig the business model and get this model up and running so that we can reduce the amount of mobile phones and devices that end up in our dump sites. Another project we are working with is again with WEEE Center. I know I've mentioned WEEE Center more than once or thrice now, but it's fine. Where we are using our offices as collection points for electronic wastes, which we work with WEEE Center in collecting. So this has been one of the key things that we've been doing from, I believe, it's been a while up to now. And finally, participating in such conferences so that we can create more awareness around such initiatives, awareness around circular economy, electronic waste, and getting everybody just to jump on board and to help us close out this loop. But Safaricom's impact extends beyond these immediate initiatives. It has inspired a ripple effect, and we aspire to also motivate small, large, medium-sized businesses to also do the same, to come work with us in order to create a greener future. In conclusion, we are looking at championing sustainability, spearheading the transition to a circular economy, and through unwavering dedication, innovation, and connectivity, we are looking to pave the way for a future where economic growth harmonizes with environmental stewardship. As we move forward, let us draw inspiration from our past journey, collectively work together to a more sustainable and prosperous future, where a world where digital technology, innovation can come together and create a circular economy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We are in the last leg. You know, I won't say who said it, but I will say it. I'll say what he said. You are the ones who have stuck with me through my trials. That's what he said. So you guys are the ones who stuck it out right to the end. I'm very appreciative for that. And we are on the final, but not because they're the least, but because these are the people who have been with us. They've partnered with us. They've worked together with us in the collaborations and corporate sector initiatives that we've had. So I'm going to call them up here one by one, starting with East Africa Breweries Limited, WEEE Mwai. Please clap for her as she comes up. We have Winnie Jumba from Oracle. You'll notice that Oracle is one of the sponsors of the conference. Winnie, please come to the front. This will be a very esteemed panel. You will notice why. And then lastly, and not the least, we have Salome Ichaminya from Carrefour. The moderator is me, Catherine Masolia. Clap for me. Hi, ladies. I hope you've already seen how beautiful the panel looks and why I said I'm saving the best for last. Okay, so I'll go right into it. Maybe if you want to introduce yourselves briefly, and then we launch into the questions.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is WEEE Mwai from EABL. I'm in sustainability.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Sunset Shift. My name is Winnie Jumba from Oracle Sustainability.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Salome Ichaminya, Majid Al Futtaim Hypermarkets, which you better know as Carrefour Sustainability.
Thank you. You know, when Carrefour came, I was always wondering how to pronounce it. Carrefour. So it's good to hear from you how to pronounce the word. And I'm going to start by asking you, Salome, what is Carrefour doing in the waste management space?
There's a lot Carrefour is doing in the waste management space. We are prioritizing recycling. We are prioritizing good disposal of waste, and also partnerships with waste management partners, such as yourselves, to ensure that the waste that we generate, especially from our operations, is well disposed, collected, disposed, and what can be recycled is recycled. So, for example, we have partnered with you for our e-waste collection and management. In that regard, we have e-waste bins in all our stores that you'll find where we collect e-waste and encourage our customers to actually dispose of their e-waste there, for which we center collects and disposes and recycles. But also our office generation e-waste is also managed by you, and we separate that. So I think we've been able to manage to collect at least 2 tons annually of e-waste in that regard. But also we have partnered with waste management partners to ensure that the waste we generate both internally and with management partners, with suppliers, is also collected responsibly and disposed of responsibly.
Thank you, and I can truly say we have seen that it's a true testament that Carrefour is interested in managing waste in a safe manner, because if you go into the Carrefour stores, I'm sure now you'll start to notice the bins. Initially, I never used to know what the green bins were for until one day I paid attention and saw, okay, it's e-waste management. So in that way, you're helping us with awareness creation, not just on that and in many more other areas. I'll move on to WEEE and ask you, what are you doing to minimize waste generation as EABL, maybe in the packaging and distribution?
Okay, for EABL, there's a lot we're doing largely around circularity. Maybe I could start with packaging. So our bottles, our beer bottles, are operating in a closed loop system. the brands that you enjoy, all our beer that is enjoyed in the market, the bottles go out into trade. They are manufactured first. They go out into trade. People consume the brand. They come back to the plant. We wash them and reuse them again. And so our beer value chain is highly closed loop. It's actually completely closed loop. And what we challenged ourselves is now looking into the spirits category. So our spirits category has been one way, 100% one way. All our spirits used to go out into trade and end up, unfortunately, as waste and collected by a number of the organizations that are here today. And so what we've done is we have a project which we call Project Rudisha, where we are now embarking on collecting and reusing our spirit bottles. And that has been quite a game changer for us because first of all, the spirits bottles were not made to be reused. And so we had to go and look at which exact bottles could be reused. And we are now working with quality guaranteed glass. And so we've successfully managed to run a pilot over the past 8 months where we've put out spirit bottles. They've gone to trade, come back. Some have gone even twice. Consumers such as yourselves have not even noticed the difference in the bottles. And so that is a pilot that we believe is going to be transformational for our business. Another area that is very key for us is water. We are a huge consumer of water. And then there lies opportunities to reduce waste in that process. And so we are very keen on water use within our operations. We have 2 state-of-the-art water recovery and waste plants in Ruaraka and in Kisumu. And these plants have really changed the operations. Currently, as we sit, we recycle and reuse 99% of the materials within our operations. And for water, we have huge targets, and we wish to reach 40% by 2030, and we are on our journey there. And so we have the waste and water recovery plants where we use and purify and reuse water. That water goes into our cleaning processes, and some of it is then treated and taken back into the society. So then the water that we would ideally be struggling for, because we are in a water-stressed area in both plants, more so in Nairobi, is then now used by the community. And so we count that as water that has gone into the communities that we serve. There's also a lot that we're doing in the value chain in our packaging space again. So we use products that are highly recyclable with a target of being 100% recyclable by 2025. Okay, 60% by 2025 and 100% by 2030. So those goals are real and they are stretched, and we are continuously looking for partners to see how we can, what materials are the right materials to use, what packaging can be dropped off. Do we need to use shrink wrap, say for example, for our cans? Do we need to use the cartons for the shipping and things like that? And so looking at recyclable product, looking at our packaging and our waste, looking at our water, looking at our bottles that go into trade, and the fact that we don't have to manufacture as many bottles both reduces our carbon emissions, because glass, it really utilizes a lot of it creates a lot of emissions during the production stage, because the production of glass is actually, it emits more than the production of plastic. And so the reusability of glass is fantastic for us in the business. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's interesting that you said, even as you're trying to do these initiatives, like with the bottle of the spirits, even the customers are not even noticing. I always find that it's something that to think about.
As yet.
Yes, they are not noticing as yet, but you're doing it all the same. So I think that's good to hear that. Winnie, when people talk about e-waste, they relate it totally with technology. They say the use of technology is resulting in e-waste. What are your thoughts?
Well, in terms of technology, I would say it's multifaceted. Yes, we are responsible, I'd say, especially most tech firms, because of innovation, e-waste is as a result. It did not catch up as fast when we were still innovating and coming up with all these cool products and the cool gadgets. But also, there is also an opportunity to leverage technology. For instance, at Oracle, I look at it and listening. Initially, I had thoughts about what I was going to say, but after listening to everyone, I'd look at it from three ways. One is to make IT more sustainable internally, right? So the first thing would be, as an organization, would be first look at yourselves, right? Over and above just having a circular economy or a closed loop, the first thing is to refuse IT or technology that does not align with your sustainable strategies as a company. Then now, after refusing and realizing that, you know what, sieving out, and these are the people that we want to work with, the tech firms we want to work with, the next thing you need to look at is, okay, fine, we've refused, we found the people we want to work with, now reduce consumption. And this is with regards to now looking at our business models. When we look at R&D, are we building or are we producing products that are modular and granular and have a long lifespan, right? And the next bit after that is also now looking at extending. We fixed our strategy, we fixed our models and our value chains, our suppliers. The next bit would probably be, how do we extend this to the rest of the organization, right? Because I can tell you, even internally, a lot of teams just think that e-waste is not really something that we need to think about. We just go out and we sell the tech. And we're always coming out with version 12 of 2 of 3 of 5, 2023, there'll be 2024, etc. So the rest of the organization, and I'll say also what everyone has been saying, it's a cultural thing. Everyone needs to know this is what we're doing. We need to know what our goals are, what our sustainability goals. For instance, we've said as Oracle, it's net zero by 2025. It's ambitious, but it can be done, right? It's also making sure that we walk the talk. It's not just about putting things, otherwise we will be accused of greenwashing. So that's traceability, and being able to verify the information that you're giving is also very, very critical. And then now that we've extended it, we've put it out, the entire organization understands it. It is working now with third parties, working with our customers and helping them understand also what tech brings, helping them be more sustainable and reduce the waste. So e-waste would be more about, where do I put these things? But I would say, how about we just turn off the tap, right? Because that is what is supplying the e-waste. Manage the tap. Goes back to the first point, manage the processes, have a support structure. Not everything needs to go end of life immediately. And if it does, how long can it be supported, right? So for instance, if you have, let's say like an Oracle database or whatever it is, how long can I support this product without having to go back and ask for more budget for the next thing? So that's where I'd see IT. I could talk about all the cool tech that we can leverage, but the first thing is to fix the structures. Yeah.
Thank you. Vinny, I'm still going back to you because we had a conversation outside and you were mentioning some of the thoughts that you had concerning circularity. Would you like to share some of those, and feel free to chime in if you have more thoughts on it?
Okay, so I think I've touched a bit on circularity. I've talked about the how you can move from refusing, reducing, reusing, and then recycling, right? In terms of circularity, I'd also say digital transformation is also very important. It cannot be done immediately, but you need to also think about how can we change how we're running things. For instance, can I use the cloud? And if I'm running a cloud, where is it going to be hosted? And once I'm done with a product, let's say product lifestyle management, how do I make sure that I'm able to trace it from the beginning until the end? And how do I make sure that it doesn't land in a landfill or somewhere? So for instance, it's about holding tech firms also accountable for what happens, right? So as I sell the product, what happens? How long am I going to use it for? And how does it come back? It also involves supply chain management, right? It's about realizing where your suppliers are coming in from, and how do we dispose of products in a more friendly manner, and then also working with regulators and partners. So once legislation is very important, because one last thing I'd like to point out is I'm very glad that NEMA had talked about legislation as well, because a lot of industries, especially big tech, we do bring out new products. They will be delivered and they do help with business outcomes. The challenge comes in terms of what do we do with it afterwards. Sometimes because of public procurement processes, we cannot pick these things out. So much as a lot of discussion is ongoing, you need to include, and we need to be part of that table to also see how we can also get involved and be accountable for the tech that we bring in. Maybe the rest of my panelists can.
Okay, so for ours will be different because we not dealing in tech, but with regards to maybe the things that we deal with, for example, our packaging, for example, our reusable bags, we are encouraging recycling and reuse. So for that reason, we have what we call replacement for life. So for example, the Carrefour shopping bags that you get in the shop, if it gets old, it gets torn, it gets spoiled, or you can't use it anymore, you bring it back to the store, they will replace it for free. And that's how we are encouraging reuse of these bags. Same with our e-commerce bags. First of all, the packaging is recyclable, which we encourage, but we also encourage you to return it back to us through the rider who delivers to you, and you will be able to recycle it and put it to better use in terms of circularity. We are also enhancing our packaging in the various sections. So if you'll notice, our bakery section has reusable packaging for the breads that we store, and I think we're the only retailer doing that. And then also we have phased out as well single-use plastics in our deli section. Our butchery section has foam packaging, so that we are just ensuring that we have biodegradable materials that then are not churned out to the environment and more harmful. But in essence, we are also encouraging recycling, reusing, and sustainable packaging. There's a lot more we can do, and we are in conversations with our suppliers or partners that can be able to assist us in that. But we are heading, it's a step in the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I would add is what I have noted in the area of sustainability, circularity, decarbonization, we are pushed by policy. The reason why there have been, I think, 7 to 10 forums ever since EPR regulations came out is because EPR regulations came out, is because NEMA came out. When the Sustainable Management Act came out, it was quiet until enforcement, right? You remember when plastic bags were banned. No one was talking about plastic bags until they were banned. And so I think we need, the social behavior is clear. We need rules and regulations for us to act. And so I think the question for us as practitioners and for us to be thought leaders is, how do we change that narrative? We can't always be waiting on the government, on regulators to come up with these grandiose policies for us to do what we need to do. Because sometimes government is also late to the party. So if we keep saying we're going to wait for government to come up with a decarbonization plan, they're going to give us policies, manufacturers are going to be penalized if they don't do this, here is the law, it could be 10, 20 years from now. And so I think for me, where I sit right now is just challenging ourselves to look at those gaps and those opportunities and enforce them without waiting for the policeman to come running after you.
Thank you, Aidera. I think you've actually already touched on what I was going to say next as we wrap up. In my experience at WEEE Center, when we reach out to companies or partners telling them we manage electronic waste, we are often referred to the procurement department. And my question always is, this is about sustainability, but you're making it about procurement. So sometimes there seems to be almost like a push and pull about where managing of electronic waste should lie. And it made me think, what are sustainability managers doing? What kind of challenges are they having when they try to push certain policies to be adopted? So I will let you just wrap up. Feel free to give whatever thoughts you want to give, or whatever closing comments you want to make along those lines, or whichever line you feel is best for you. Starting with.
So obviously our first duty is educate, demystify myths and legends that have been said about everything. And then everyone sees you as, oh, sustainability, oh, we need to reduce plastic, we need to reduce paper, we need to, so it's, educating is important, but it's insightful, it's enlightening, because now we get to really emphasize, it gets people sensitive to why we need to do this, our impact on the environment. So that part of education is usually very, very rewarding, because now people are more sensitive and more inclined to take our operations towards a more sustainable manner. So that one is usually enlightening. Now the challenge usually is now enforcing, because for example, we want to, simple thing like phase out single-use plastics, for example, as simple as cutlery, right? Now the removing plastics is cheap, right? But replacing with a wooden, for example, is more expensive. Do I pass this cost to you as a customer? I cease being competitive, right? We increase the price, or we have to bear it in our margins. You get, so again, finance asks you, do we have the budget for this, right? So it's a push and pull of, we need to achieve this, but at the same time, corporate goals are also need to be met. So, but we are at least now that the sustainability agenda has been prioritized, corporates are now able to budget for it and be able to now lead organizations in that direction. So it's a slow, steady, but at least the conversation has started, the discussion has started, the need has started. So at least it's something we can carry forward and continue and plan for and educate as well. But a lot more can be done.
All right, so I'll continue from that. Education and awareness, employee-led initiatives. Let the employees also, because I'm part of the Global Sustainability Ambassador team, right? So let them run and own this particular sustainable, and you'd be shocked what they also come up with, that this is what we can do. Coming up with green teams. And also the other thing is about recognition and appreciation for what people have done. Recognize also your most sustainable customers as well. The other thing I would mention is innovate for sustainable products. Innovate, have a lot more towards R&D, so that you can have, for instance, sustainable solutions. And out of that, we've created a lot of opportunity, not just to also fix a problem, but also create business opportunities. We work around data. I think that's one of the challenges that someone in sustainability and finance would probably have, is now there's a lot of reporting that is required. Where are we going to get this data, and how do we ensure that we have captured every single part, right? So we're looking at AI, blockchains, Internet of Things, that the sensors, where we've gotten all of these things come from, that I'm able to track and trace. And even our transportation systems, is it better if, as I take back, so for instance, one of the major take-back operations, which included 10,000 servers, it was easier to transport it on ground as opposed to flying, which had higher carbon emissions, right? And that resulted in about $100 million worth of reusable servers that can be used for other customers. So there's a lot to think about in terms of sustainability and working towards a circular economy. If you reduce, there'll be less e-waste to work with. If we invest more in innovation and tech and create opportunities for business, because we're not just tree huggers here. It's about also making sure that the business is sustainable and can be able to run. I don't want to see my investments on my dividends being used towards, oh, we didn't give you your dividends, we planted a tree, right? But if you explain to me, and that is creating more employment opportunities and it's generating more income, then the narrative could go even much further.
Thank you. I think just to add on that would be to say it needs sustainability, circularity needs, it's a corporate imperative. And so as you're looking at your corporate plans, your business plans, and your business performance, you must ingrain sustainability. If you look at the two separately, it will not work. And you find yourselves, or as corporates, we find ourselves in a challenge where you have, your quarterly business performance and then sustainability. But the two need to go hand in hand. It needs to be what is a sustainable business performance, right? And it needs ownership from the top. where we are at with sustainability, I think for the Kenyans in the room, it cannot be a bottom-up approach, honestly. As a sustainability manager, as a middle-level manager, you won't really have the impetus and the skill to push some of these sustainability agendas, because sustainability is about EABL, Oracle, CARFO coming together and doing impactful things at scale. And some of those decisions cannot be made by middle-level managers, right? So when your top leadership owns it, for example, at EABL, our group MD has sustainability KPIs. Our KBL MD has the same. Each executive has the same. And so to your point, if you drill it down to, in my procurement role, how am I helping the business meet a sustainability need? It'll be so easy. In your finance role, have you identified what opportunities lie in sustainability? It'll be very easy, and everybody will be able to play their role in making this business a sustainable business. And I think that's the only way we can go forward. Once everybody from the top down is completely aligned on the sustainability agenda of the organization. And one thing I truly love about sustainability is, first, you can start where you are. And anybody and everybody can do sustainability. Just look at the diversity in this room. We are all in different industries, in different sectors. What brought us here was waste. Everybody has waste, be it e-waste, be it water, be it whatever waste that you have. And so I think for me to close is just to say that everybody has a role to play in the sustainability agenda. It's just how you position it in your organization that makes you really make that impact. Yeah.
Well, I am now sure I saved the best for last. Thank you so much for your time, ladies. Do you want to add something?
I just forgot one thing.
Yeah.
Also, as we look to the future, everyone wants to work at EABL, CARFO, Oracle, to attract the best talent, especially with the incoming generations. They're not looking at, oh, who is the most profitable nowadays. People are looking for a better standard of living. They're looking for, they want to be associated with the good.
Yes.
So as we live here, you need to think about, is my organization, am I going to attract the best talent, especially the youth coming forward? Or am I going to be part of the bad boys on the corner who are just killing the earth? Because from where I sit, we only have one planet. I don't know if there's any other, but I kind of like this one. So to attract that talent and to nurture the best minds moving forward, we must be sustainable, we must be circular, we must think of the future.
So the passion is evident. Thank you for your thoughts. Are there any questions to this panel? Yes, looks like there is one. The one who's doing the running around. Nancy, I don't know if you'll be able to get the mic to Brian.
Fantastic panel. You did brilliantly well. Very quickly, this will go to a question apiece, but probably it's the same question. Mwai, thank you very much. What's your carbon footprint as East African breweries? And two, looking at you as you are there, how can you join our efforts of the East Africa Women in Conservation? Same applies to you, Winnie, and same applies to you, Salome. Asanteni sana.
Thank you for that. So for us, we measure our carbon, and our target is to reduce our carbon emissions year on year. And as I mentioned, we want to find ourselves at zero emissions by 2030, right? And so all the number of initiatives I've mentioned is to head us towards that. And so at the moment, I cannot give you, like, this is our carbon footprint at now, this exact minute. But what I can give you is the carbon emissions we have reduced from 2020 based on our Society 2030 agenda. So we have a 10-year agenda of decarbonization from 2020 up to 2030, aligning it also with the SDG goals, right? And so some of the initiatives that are really directly speaking towards carbon emissions I would speak of, and I hadn't mentioned maybe, is like like our biomass steam boilers. So we have moved away from, or we are in the process of moving away from using HA4 oils in our boilers to using biomass. So we are using waste material, waste agricultural material to steam up our boilers. And that was one of the heaviest carbon footprints we had along our business. As you look at, your scope 1, 2, and 3, for us, the boilers and the plant was the heaviest. And so for scope 1 and 2, we've really done very well. And the biomass boiler has been exceptionally good at helping us meet 95% of our carbon emissions.
Great. Very quickly, Mai, how about I make an offer? A polite one. If we can work together with WEEE Center and Umoja Conservation Trust, we can have what you call natural resources accounting to you, and in the process, we can barter trade. You've got an excellent product, a byproduct of beer, that is a fantastic fertilizer for nurseries and seedbeds, and we can establish high-value fruit trees for those nurseries and seedbeds, create employment to the likes of Griffin and Jazz, and then make this contribution towards the 15 billion trees of the Kenya government. How about that?
We can discuss offline.
Okay, I was hoping to evade that carbon footprint question because in terms of the numbers, I'd need to verify that, and I did look at it earlier, but I'd be doing a disservice if I butchered those numbers right now. However, let me just say this from a data center perspective, right? We've literally gone net zero. Like, for instance, all our data centers in Europe are net zero currently. They're at zero, literally. And we've also come up with carbon footprint calculators. So when we discuss with our customers, for instance, if we are hosting your cloud through our OCI, for instance, we will actually pick any particular place, whether it's South Africa, Germany, or in Frankfurt, or wherever it is, and then we are able to actually show you this is how much in terms of footprint, so that it can also help you calculate what your overall footprint would be for hosting on our environments, right? But I also talked about also internally where we intend to get. So we're either trying to say carbon neutral by a certain point, where because of legislation we're working towards that. But ideally the goal is that in the next 2 years we should be at net zero, right? So after here, I don't want to Google, you can, because our information is right there in our sustainability reports. But that's one of the goals. And the second bit you asked was, how do we work? So with organizations, one is we work a lot with partners that we currently have, so it depends on what initiatives you have. The other bit is also through our Oracle volunteering and giving as well, as we work also with WEEE as well on such initiatives. So between, let's say, in terms of our volunteering and our giving, between April and, say, June, we focus on environment. We look at such initiatives. The other bits that between September, we also focus, August and October, we focus on community. And then from November onwards, we focus on education. So we come up with different initiatives and we submit them, and we do support these charities and support different organizations, right? So depending on where we are, it could be either a business opportunity, but also we look at how we can work with different societies and individuals across the globe.
I think the same goes for us, but we aim to be net zero by 2040. But we also, yes, we are reporting, we are measuring, we are aiming to reduce year on year so that we can achieve that net zero target. But we also have policies that we have implemented in place to help us achieve that. So, for example, we have our sustainable fit-out policy that ensures our buildings and our operations help us become water, energy efficient, and as well as green. We call it we give our buildings a Green Star certificate for having all these fit-outs that ensure that we are actually achieving this net zero target. With regards to our community initiatives, I think it's a conversation we can pick with you offline to understand better how you work. But for other community initiatives, I think you have seen in our stores, we have our Round Up Your Bill program. So when you are at the till, you're asked to donate towards the programs that we choose, and we support community initiatives in this manner through your donations. So it's something you can look into, donate, and we can partner with you in subsequent conversations. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we've come to the end. I just want to mention that for more you have a question? Okay.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dennis from Discover Brands. I'm in the EPR, in the EPR space, circular green and circular economy, and the new plastics economy and Danida. So I had a question for EABL. Yeah, there is an initiative you mentioned about the retake of plastics and the reuse of plastics. How do you make sure that it does not spill over to the Kariobangi bottlers? You know what I mean? The other bottlers. Yeah, because I'm very sure they take the bottles at a higher price. Thank you.
So it is a take-back scheme for spirit bottles, glass, not plastic. And so so there's an existing value chain of collection, and what this initiative is doing is actually helping remove our bottles from the market space and avoiding counterfeiting. So that is also one of the benefits of this. It's not only reducing waste, but by us clearing up our spirits bottles, there are no bottles to be counterfeited. And so since we just started the pilot 8 months ago, there's still a lot of glass out there. So we are doing it piece by piecemeal, because remember, we have to relook at our plant. There was no line, or there was no process set for cleaning spirit bottles. So there's a heavy investment that needs to be made. We are currently cleaning on a beer line, which is actually working. And so once we reinvest, we'll be able to scale up. So it's a pilot. We've now just started 8 months into it. And so we are at the place where we are still collecting. So unfortunately, some of our bottles are still out in the market. Counterfeiters still do have access to them. But we do have a vision where we'll be able to collect all our spirit bottles. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I think we can clap for them. There was a way Nancy taught us. Maybe you can show us. How was it? The WEEE clap.
Yeah, the WEEE clap. Do we remember the way we are doing it? Yes. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Okay, so I think it's also worth mentioning that there is an Eco Champions Roundtable where sustainability managers can meet. We have sustainability breakfasts. They're being led by Mrs. Mary Ngechu. So please feel free to talk about it to wherever you go. Even you guys, make people know that sustainability managers are meeting somewhere to discuss how they can push and champion for management of our very precious planet Earth. Where are the gifts for these pretty ladies? Bonnie, would you like to give them the gifts? I feel like making us do the chicken dance, but the way you guys are looking at me, I'm not sure you want to. How many would want to do the chicken dance? Just 2? Okay, so no chicken dance. We've come to the Close of our conference today. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Our esteemed sponsors and partners, thank you for being here. Panelists, and the people who without you we would not be having this conference, our guests. You are all very much appreciated. I am going to call our chairman to give the closing remarks. Dr. Tom Musili. I don't know if we gave him the WEEE clap, if it will make him come faster. Karibu sana.
Zote.
Okay. I'm sure you cannot imagine how happy I am in this room to see what is happening, to see the commitment, and for you staying up to this time. We were planning to finish at 4. One thing I would like to say is that what is happening today, I could not foresee. We started recycling in 2007, but registered WEEE Center in 2012. And that time, from 2000 and 2012, WEEE Center was operating under Computers for Schools Kenya. And now, because of the many regulations, we had to register it separate. And I went to my major sponsor, Safaricom, to ask for money to start WEEE Center. I met my friend Les Baire, who was the finance director, and I told him I wanted to start a recycling facility. And then Les told me, Tom, I have been supporting you, but not in this one. This one, Nokia tried, and they did not manage, so you cannot do it. But I was able to convince him, and we started recycling officially. Now, from that beginning, to see us talking of circular economy and electronic waste management is a big achievement, because circular economy is a catalyst for sustainable human development, where we take care of resources and the environment. And that way, I am very happy to see this. The challenge we have in Africa, and since I'm a senior citizen, I can speak without fear. I'm not employed. The team we have seen here, they are the ones who give me food. I've retired. A very able team led by Bonnie, Catherine, Nancy, Joseph, and a big team. The leadership, African leadership, is a problem. Because even when we have these serious forums, conferences, you cannot see senior people attending. And that is where, in Africa, things don't work. Even we go to climate change summit, we write speeches for them. Some are very eloquent, but they don't know what they are reading. And that way, we are not going to go far as Africa. But in our small way, the way we are doing, let's push this agenda. And I've seen a commitment, especially corporates. Corporates, before they were also not sure whether to spend money on e-waste. But the commitment I have seen, especially Oracle, they have supported us for 5 years. Joseph, you are around? How many years? Yes. Safaricom all through. We have also NEMA, we have been working with them, NetFund, the others. I also want to single out, close the gap, my son Olivia. Olivia is a very serious man, and he's a very big man in Belgium. He's the one who took me to Belgium, to the big companies, to see how they are serious about e-waste. And that way I was encouraged, and he even organized to bring the cruise. I don't know whether that is the name. The top UN lady, and also to enable me meet the top people doing e-waste in Europe. And that way we were encouraged to start in a small way. What I want to encourage you all is to join hands and push this agenda, because we have to take care of our countries, our continent, because if we don't take care of the environment, it will not take care of us. The objectives of this conference, number one was to create awareness. Awareness even to among ourselves, to know what we didn't know. Secondly is about sharing experience. We have different experiences in this room, ranging from general waste, takataka ni mali, e-waste, and others. Finally, is about fostering partnerships and collaborations. And that is what you drive what we are doing ahead. So mine is to encourage you all and tell you what you are doing is the best for yourself, for your family, for the community, for the country, and for the continent. And that is why I wanted to do it online, because I was at my country home. But I decided to come, and it's good I came. I am more encouraged. Then at this point is to thank the organizers, who are the WEEE Center people together with others, the presenters and the panelists who did it very well, very educative presentations. The sponsors, they have been very keen to support, including EBL. Before, we tried EBL for a long time, but since we were under Computers for Schools Kenya, they told us we cannot support you because those students are under 18. Now WEEE Center is separate from that, and I'm happy you have come in full swing. Also to all the participants who have been very committed, and when I talked to many of you, there is a lot of commitment. Now for the fourth conference, my wish and prayer is to come now and share how the achievements of circular economy, what we have done. Now it's a successes. We want to hear success stories, because we have talked a lot. And as you heard, I was from military in the Air Force. We were trained that 1 second is a lot of time. So we need to move very fast, and I hope the team will also give us the report of what we deliberated today, and also plan a follow-up system until the next conference. Mine is to wish you well, wish you good holidays during December, and a better 2024. This one seems a bit difficult, but we pray for the best. Thank you very much.
Is that relief I see on your faces? I have coffee and tea for you. I was hoping to have cocktails. It's not going to happen this year. But next year, you'll probably have it. Because we have EABL on board. So next year, we're looking to good things. So thank you all for coming. We are at the end. I want to remind all of us that there is a book that is available. We have Janet Ruto here who has a book called Eco Heroes for Children. So if you want to educate your children, the young ones, we know these are the future, please speak to her and see how you can get hold of this book. Our sign language interpreter. Let us clap for her. I do not know why I'm hearing sounds. Let us clap for our sign language interpreter. This is celebration. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. You're free to mingle. Kwaheri, you know we like extended goodbyes in Africa. So if you just keep looking at me, I will just keep talking. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, I am Timothy, and I have a question for you. Would you share your bank details with anyone on the street? I thought so.
We know that your company replaces its IT devices on a regular basis, but you don't want your sensitive data to end up on the streets. We have the solution. Close the Gap Circular. Let me explain how it works. First, we organize the collection of your not-so-old IT devices. Once the devices get to our warehouse, our well-trained team will carefully register the assets with a unique tag. This happens with all your equipment. Mobile phones, tablets, laptops, desktops, servers, and network equipment. Our tailor-made system allows us to track down your device at any moment. Now the device is ready to be processed. We use sophisticated and advanced software to wipe your data. Usernames, emails, passcodes, and passwords. We guarantee to make everything untraceable, so it's impossible to know who the previous owner was. In case a device is beyond economical repair, we bring it to the recyclers after a slight teardown, where we make sure to shred any type of data carriers. This to ensure total destruction of your data. Any e-waste is disposed of in an environmentally safe way. After this process, the equipment is ready for a new owner. 90% of the devices we receive is heading for a second life. We always try to remarket and recover the value with the aim on zero landfill impact. We are ISO certified and our facility is equipped with the highest level.
Hello, I am Timothy, and I have a question for you. Would you share your bank details with anyone on the street? I thought so.
We know that your company replaces its IT devices on a regular basis, but you don't want your sensitive data to end up on the streets. We have the solution. Close the Gap Circular. Let me explain how it works. First, we organize the collection of your not-so-old IT devices. Once the devices get to our warehouse, our well-trained team will carefully register the assets with a unique tag. This happens with all your equipment. Mobile phones, tablets, laptops, desktops, servers, and network equipment. Our tailor-made system allows us to track down your device at any moment. Now the device is ready to be processed. We use sophisticated and advanced software to wipe your data. Usernames, emails, passcodes, and passwords. We guarantee to make everything untraceable, so it's impossible to know who the previous owner was. In case a device is beyond economical repair, we bring it to the recyclers after a slight teardown, where we make sure to shred any type of data carriers. This to ensure total destruction of your data. Any e-waste is disposed of in an environmentally safe way. After this process, the equipment is ready for a new owner. 90% of the devices we receive is heading for a second life. We always try to remarket and recover the value with the aim on zero landfill impact. We are ISO certified and our facility is equipped with the highest level of security. We strive to establish great partnerships with our ITAD customers. We want to cooperate with you in order to achieve a more efficient long-term handling of IT asset dispositions and e-waste. That is why we look for sustainable solutions for all your IT equipment. You are not
That's why you will see when you check well, like this one, you see it been eating on the leaf. That's why you will see when you check well, like this one, you see it been eating on the leaf. this one, you see it been eating on the leaf. That's why you will see when you check well, like this one, you see it been eating on the leaf. That's why you will see when you check well, like this one, you see it been eating on the leaf. That's why you will see when you check well, like this one, you see it been eating on the leaf. one you will see when you check well, like this one, you see it been eating on the leaf. That's why you will see when you check well, like this one, you see it been eating on the leaf.
Vamos